Erik Bergman has grown from almost nothing to 75,000 followers on Instagram in 3 months. And in this episode, we will teach you how to do the same. Not really. And the reason is that we see that there's a lot of fairy tales out there about how to grow quickly on social media. And I think those fairy tales are missing the point that it's actually quite challenging and it takes a lot of preparation. And a lot of failures and mistakes and falls. So the purpose of this episode is to learn from someone that has tried hard at this since 2010, failed multiple times, Erik Bergman. So this is an episode for you who want to learn how to grow on social media and do it the right way. Boom. And we're gonna share, that's right, boom. And we're gonna share Erik's 4-step path to success, not only in social media, but in life. And I think that I love these steps myself, and I think if they're implemented in the right order, that's really gonna maximize your chances to stick in there and get the social media presence that you desire. Erik, how are you today, buddy?
Well, this is one of these days where it feels like everything is going wrong, and still I find myself smiling. it's just reached a point like, we'll see what happens. So I'm in a good mood where I could have been. If this would have been a bad day, it would have been a really, really bad day when everything just feels shit. And now it's still like I'm sitting here smiling, even though everything seems to be messing with me today or with us today. So I'm in a good mood. And I'm here with Emil, my good friend, who's the host of this podcast, was the first one joining me into Great, and who is also embarking on a social media adventure lately. And I'm excited to do this podcast.
Well, thank you, brother. I am definitely in the same kind of mindset today. Totally in the lover mode. I didn't want to do my routines this morning. And when technical stuff started messing with us, I couldn't be bothered. Just smile at it, keep moving forwards. And hopefully that will be the theme of 2020. And together with Erik, we are doing the Becoming Great podcast. And the purpose of this podcast is to help everyone out there who wants to make the world a better place through entrepreneurship and personal development. So let's get into it.
Yes!
These 4 steps to success, can anyone use them?
Yeah, definitely. I think that this is a process that I've kind of crystallized for me over the last year. And a lot of it comes from looking back at what have I failed at and what have I succeeded at during my life and what's been the common denominators for them. And lately I've been using it in social media and applying it there, but it could be applied anywhere, basically. So you can do this. The same 4-step process will be applied if you want to get back in shape or if you want to build a business or if you want to do anything else. But social media has just been a great example for me lately.
Yeah, I think these 4 steps is actually a life philosophy of how to accomplish pretty much anything. And social media becomes an example here. But why do you want to focus on social media?
So let's back up the tape a little bit to like 2010, I think. At this time, I started getting into social media, and what was big at that time was blogs, forums, and Twitter. And I used this a lot on the very early days of what became Catena. I used this to build a brand name around what we were doing. It helped us recruiting. It helped us find collaborations. It helped in so many ways to build somewhat of an authority around it.
Could you just briefly touch upon what Catena is and what you accomplished before with Catena?
Yeah, sure. So Catena Media is my previous company, which is an online marketing company that grew from 0 to a $200 million valuation in 3.5 years, something like that. And I was really active on social media on the years leading up to Catena. And thanks to that, we built a lot of the foundation. And since Katina started, more or less, I haven't really touched social media at all. I kind of drifted away from it. I've had Facebook, but that's pretty much it. I've never used it for a commercial perspective. And I've just been seeing how much social media has exploded over the last 5, 6, 7, even 10 years. And realized that there is so much potential here that I'm not in any way utilizing, since I'm not using it. And to answer your original question, why do I want to focus on social media? It's because that's where, I'm just going to guess now, but the majority of the Western population spend the majority of their time, one way or another. And to not utilize that, or to not be a part of that, is, I want to say stupid, but I don't like the word stupid. So it's an extreme way of standing outside of a system that can be used. Yeah.
So could you please briefly define for the one listening what you mean by social media? Which platforms do you include in that definition?
Okay, so social media to me it's a lot of different platforms, and we can think of this as going into a bar. So if you're in a bar, you can say hi to anyone at any time, and it's socially accepted. You're only asking for someone's attention for like 2 seconds. Like, hey, how are you doing? And you can say that to anyone. You wouldn't do that in the street in the same way as you would in a bar. This is like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, the fastest social medias that people interact with for just a few seconds. So that's one part of the social media. Then another part of social media is, let's say we're still in this bar, but you want to go outside and have a smoke or just some fresh air with someone and just talk a little bit. That's like YouTube and blogging. You need to get a little bit more of someone's attention to do that. So it's a little bit harder to get those interactions to happen.
5-20 minutes.
Yeah, 5-20 minutes. So you need to actually give someone needs to give you 5 minutes to be able to say if your YouTube channel is good enough, but they only need to give you 2 seconds to watch a picture on Instagram. So it's harder to get people there, but once you get them there, you can build a deeper and more meaningful connection with someone. So that's a deeper form of social media, but still social media, I would say. And then we have the third level of social media, which is podcasts. And it's not really the chatty, Facebooky kind of social media, but it's still in the same realm, like you digest it in the same perspective. And to me, that's like going on a long, slow walk with someone from the bar. You can really get to know each other. You can talk a lot, but you're not going to be able to do that with more than one person a night or something, because it takes a big commitment from the other person to be able to give you that much of their attention. It's like picking up a book. You're not going to read that many books, and it's the same with podcasts. But if you get people to read your book, if you get people to listen to your podcast, you can really build a deep and meaningful connection with someone from just talking. So when I see
books the first kind of social media?
What was the first kind?
Yeah. Are books the first kind?
Yeah, I would say that. You could say that.
Cave paintings, maybe.
Yeah, cave paintings. I think books, cave paintings, basically media that people talk about could be argued as social media one way or another. It's a form and shape of it. And I think most of the time when we say social media, everyone puts everything together. But I like looking at it at these different kinds of elements, because it's very hard to start with building a podcast, for example. Imagine that you want to start relationships or start anything with just going up to random strangers and saying, do you want to take a long walk on the beach with me? It's going to be quite hard. But if you go up and just say, hey, in a bar, that's an easy way to start a social media. So if you want to start social media and you haven't done this before, it's easier to get traction on a platform like Instagram and get some followers because you're not asking for that much.
So you're saying if someone wants to start growing their personal brand or grow their business, it's advantageous to start with the quicker social medias?
It's easier. I mean, it depends a bit about your personality, what you enjoy, and these kind of things as well. But if you want to grow something, and that's one of the key elements in it, it's a lot easier to do it on Instagram because you're not asking that much. Of a follower, you're just asking for 2 seconds of their attention every day. Of a follower of a podcast, you're asking for maybe half an hour a week. It's a lot bigger ask, so it's going to be a lot harder to get it out there. And if you combine the two, let's say you start with Instagram, you can build that first relationship that you can then move over to a podcast, for example, and say, yeah, I've been following this guy on Instagram for like 2 months. I really like what he's doing. I'm going to check out his podcast. Because you've already done a lot of those interactions. And if we're going back to the bar metaphor, if you've been talking to someone in a bar for a long time, it wouldn't be that weird to ask them for a long walk. But if you start with that, it's going to be harder. Not necessarily 0 chance of doing it, but it's trickier.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So even if you create a super good podcast, you're going to struggle to get people to even listen to it if you don't have that presence somewhere else. Or if you're not famous.
Yeah, because if you're not famous, that people already trust you. I mean, it's the same thing if you're super socially skilled and super good at talking and listening, but you start every conversation with, do you want to take a long walk? You're still going to struggle.
Yeah. I think that metaphor made it quite clear where to start, especially if you're starting from scratch. So these 4 steps...
Yes.
The 4-step path to success. Want to start with step 3 or nah? Of course, we start with step 1. It's a path.
Oh, clever!
Calm down.
Okay, so the 4-step process is the step 1 is to find a way to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. And let's say we're focusing on social media right now. Find a way where it's just really fun to create content for Instagram or for YouTube or whatever platform it is that you decide on using, but focus on enjoying that process. Because if you're enjoying that process and it's fun in itself, you've already ticked the most important box. You're doing something you enjoy doing, and worst case scenario, you're never succeeding with reaching a following. Worst case scenario, you're not getting anywhere else. Hey, you just wasted some fun. I mean, it's still a good deal. And second step in this is...
Can I just ask some questions on having fun? Because it sounds easy, and of course I should have fun. But what if you want to create that get that ball rolling on Instagram, for example, and maybe you like taking the pictures, but you don't enjoy writing the captions, or you don't enjoy fixing the pictures in Lightroom, or whatever you think is needed. What can someone do then if there's parts of the process that they really don't enjoy?
I would look for ways to enjoy it. How can the caption be fun? How could Lightroom be fun? Or what can you do that doesn't require Lightroom then? And try to get the boring things out of the picture. Because if you find a way to really enjoy what you're doing and you're focusing on that as your first step, how can I find ways to enjoy it? Your first goal is I want to love this. And test your ways through this. Basically what I did when I started social media again, like a year ago, was that I started trying out all of these different kinds of social media. I set up a Facebook group and it grew really quickly, but I had to be very active and I didn't really enjoy it. So I gave up on that. And then I started posting daily videos on LinkedIn, and I got quite good response from it, but I didn't really enjoy it. So I put it away and I ended up doing Instagram and started finding ways that I really enjoy writing the captions, but I didn't enjoy creating the pictures. So that was my error then. And then I started looking, okay, how can I do this quicker? And instead of creating my own pictures, I started just borrowing, stealing, lending pictures from other channels that I really liked their pictures, and I wrote my own captions. So I kind of got away from the part of Instagram I didn't enjoy by finding other people's materials and then putting my own captions on them.
And I think what you did there as well, me knowing you personally, is that you utilized what you are naturally good at. So Erik is a person that is very good at writing texts. that is one of the strongest sides in your personality.
Yeah.
And not surprisingly, you liked writing the text more than you liked finding the pictures. So then you focused your attention there, and then you started to enjoy the process. So for you out there, could you think of what part of social media could you enjoy the most, and could you spend most of your time there in the beginning at least to have as much fun as possible?
Yeah, exactly. And look away from, because I really didn't enjoy trying to create the graphics, make it look good. I just ended up with a picture that didn't look very good and a caption I was very proud of, which just made me stare at the picture and feel that, hey, this sucks. But then I just took other people's pictures and it got so much better.
Got it. So find a way to enjoy the process. And worst case, you found a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're having fun, then you're already golden. That in itself is enough reason.
Yeah. So step 2.
Step 2 in this is learning. So how can you do this that you enjoy and you still learn things that you want to learn? And basically that's just a more valuable way of having fun. That if you're just having, let's say you're reading Donald Duck magazines and you like to read, you're probably not going to learn that much. Actually, Donald Duck, you learn a lot of history. But that the equivalent here would be start reading a lot of technical books. Maybe you still enjoy reading and now you start learning and reading. You make that hobby even more valuable because it makes you smarter and doing something you enjoy.
But not on the detriment of step 1, right?
Exactly. So that's the key.
It's almost like a pyramid of success.
Yeah.
You can't remove the bottom layer.
Yeah, because if you end up, let's say you start focusing too much on learning, you start reading really boring books, it's quite likely that you start putting the book away because you don't enjoy it anymore. So you need to keep that first layer, you need to keep that first step. And whenever you feel that, okay, now I'm focusing too much on learning, I'm not actually having fun, then it's much more important to step back and look to enjoy it rather than to increase the learning.
And would you say the main purpose to have fun, except for the fun itself, of course, is to avoid getting into a situation where you get fed up and you quit?
Yeah, exactly. Because as long as you're having fun, motivation and inspiration is easy. When you're not having fun, motivation is really hard.
Yeah. Even the word motivation, it seems like I have to force myself to do something I don't really like.
Yeah.
But if I'm inspired, there's no need. It just happens naturally.
Exactly. So this entire system builds on always make sure to have fun. And if you're giving up on something, you never want to give up on the fun part, because life is also very long, that as long as you always have fun and always keep doing it, you will find ways to progress.
Yeah. And I find it super useful to use these 4 steps in every area of my life. Find a way to make working out fun. Find a way to cook food fun. Find a way to work that is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. So step 2 is learning. So focus on having fun, then focus on learning. Step 3 here is find ways where this adds value to others, which on social media is quite easy because everything you do, you show to other people. And if the case is cooking, maybe you start cooking for other people. I don't know. Cooking is not the perfect example here, but find a way where what you're doing actually adds value to other people. So if you're already doing these 3 things, you're having a lot of fun, you're learning a lot yourself, and you're giving value to other people, you're still doing something really meaningful with your life that's really enjoyable and will develop yourself a lot. And then we get to step 4, which is...
Can I just say that when I see this in my mind right now, I really see that the more you reach level 2, 3 in this pyramid path to success, the more areas you manage to do that in your life, I think the more happy and fulfilled you will be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're having fun, you're learning and you're giving value to others, life is gonna be sweet.
I mean, if you can do that in many areas of your life, then like your life is gonna feel really wonderful, I think.
Yeah.
If you manage to do it in all areas of your life, then every day you live is gonna be made up out of very enjoyable moments that feels meaningful.
For sure. And
step 4.
The fourth step of the path is the big one that everyone keeps looking for, is money and how to scale something and reach really good results. And the thing is, this is easy to do. If you're having fun, you're learning, you're giving value, money is going to come more or less in itself. Because you're going to get really good at what you do. And if you're giving value to other people, they're going to want to be a part of it and going to be willing to pay for it one way or another. So this is the fourth step where you start seeing followers increasing, where you can sell products or classes or whatever it is that you're doing. But it's the fourth step. And this is simply the process. But if you're going to cave on something, first cave on money, then cave on adding value, then cave of learning. Always make sure to have fun, because you're going to stay inspired. And you're never going to go out of the game.
Yeah. And that's the reason I made that kind of jokish intro that, okay, we're going to teach you how to go from 0 to 75,000 followers, is that all those fairy tales are only marketing step 4. Hey, go to step 4. That's going to be the fun one. But it doesn't show all the previous steps that is required to actually utilize that step.
Yeah, no one talks about this. I just realized it from looking at, basically I looked at all the projects and all the goals I've set up for myself. And I said, I looked, okay, what worked and what didn't work? And like, hey, every place that I had fun, I just kept on going.
Yeah.
Every place that I didn't have fun, I gave up.
And that's the danger with setting a goal like, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times per week. And that's your only goal.
Yeah.
It's so easy that you will quit that goal. Because it's a step 4 goal.
For sure.
So, where have you failed with this in the past? Is this something you realized recently, or?
Yeah, so a lot of the time I've been thinking about step 4. I've started with step 4, and that's basically like, if you want to start with step 4, that's like starting to ride a bike before you've learned how to stand up.
Can I just go in with something? Because it feels like we're almost switching direction a little bit here. So before we move on to your failures, you listening, could you maybe think of a time in your life where you did something only for the outcome and then you totally got bored of it and didn't try even again? Is there something? I love silence. Okay, Erik, where have you failed before?
Nice, like, clear break there.
Thank you.
Where have I failed? Yeah, so basically, for a lot of projects in my life, I've been focusing on step 4. I've said, I'm going to reach this many followers by this time, or I'm going to make this much money, or I'm going to have this 6-pack on my butt, on my stomach. And I haven't looked at the other steps. I haven't thought about them. So I've just, whenever I haven't gotten the results quickly, when I didn't get the followers, when I didn't get the money, I gave up. And I started with social media again in 2017. And I started with YouTube then. I wanted to become a YouTuber. And I did one video. The first video I did was just me putting up the computer and just talking to it about just beginning. And this video got really good response, lots of people answering to it, and I'm like getting super excited straight away because I got a lot of the step 4 from the first try. And what I didn't realize was that it was luck. It wasn't skill that got me there. So then for another 7 videos, I tried to do it better and better and better. And I just got worse and worse results, which meant that I had less and less motivation and inspiration to keep going. And I tried to do it better by making it with more angles, fancier equipment, a lot of things that I actually didn't enjoy doing. I just focused on the things that I thought that other people wanted to see, because obviously that's how I could get the numbers up, and I just failed.
So you used step 2 of learning to really get step 4 of the results, and you didn't have the foundation of step 1, which means that you just totally undermined your passion for this.
Exactly. And 2 months into this project, 8 videos that I'm actually proud of, I just felt I have no joy in this whatsoever. I'll give up. And that was the end of the social media adventure that time. And it would take me a year and a half to even reconsider this again and see, okay, what can I do now? Because I got burned. I didn't enjoy it at all. And then I came to this conclusion that, okay, I want to try this again, but this time I want to have fun. If I'm not having fun, I'm going to quit. And that's when I started doing these things that we touched upon before, that this is now early 2019. I started a Facebook group and I didn't enjoy it, so I quit. I started LinkedIn, I didn't enjoy it, I quit. I started all kinds of things and I didn't enjoy them, so I quit. And then I found Instagram and I started to realize I really enjoyed writing the captions. And then I really enjoyed the quick interactions. And so when we said in the beginning that it took 3 months to go from almost nothing to 75,000 followers, it took 6 months to really start the process before then, where I didn't get any followers at all, where I just focused on having fun and enjoying this process. But that's usually what no one sees. Everyone just sees the quick progress in the end. But the quick progress in the end came from me for 6 months playing around with how can I enjoy this? And when I figured that out, how can I learn from this? And then how can this add values? And what you don't see is step 1, 2, and 3 was the first 6 months. Step 4 has been the last 3 months. Yeah, so that's a big
the
part
years
of the process.
before that was the time needed to figure out this path.
Yeah, definitely. So for the last year, I've been working with this process, but I didn't understand this process for the first 10 years.
Mm. It's so easy to get drawn into step 4.
Yeah, because step 4 you can measure. You can measure number of followers. You can measure money coming in. You cannot measure amount of joy. So you cannot, if you're putting a goal, you're gonna, almost everyone who sets a goal, and almost all the goals I've set is based on a number, because numbers are easy. Joy is really hard.
Yeah, and you don't get an external validation from it.
No, that's a good point. You're basically building this on internal validation, and if you're having enough fun, you don't need external validation.
Man, I started a YouTube channel 3 months ago, and when I began, I read some videos of what to think of when you start YouTube as a beginner. And they said, make sure you have a regular posting schedule. So, okay, all right, I will post 1 video per week. And then I got into the mindset of, I'm gonna produce X amount of videos instead of focusing on how can I enjoy each video as much as possible? How can I learn as much as possible for each video? If I'm gonna do it to learn and have fun, then maybe I can spend 2 weeks just learning functions in a video editing software if I enjoy that. But that I can't do if I'm gonna force myself to post each week. And then I'm missing the first 2 steps, and I'm gonna quit at some point because I'm not having fun and I'm not learning the things that I am truly passionate about.
Yeah. And you're forcing yourself to put things out there that you might not be proud of, which makes it even scarier to put it out there.
Yeah, creating way more barriers.
Yeah, basically you want to, the more you focus on making it fun, the more you're just enjoying the process, but also the less barriers you put out there. Because if you say, I'm going to reach 1,000 followers in 1 month, for example, you're giving yourself a way of saying, if I don't do that, this is a failure. So you're giving yourself the terms for a failure. But if you set out, I'm just going to have fun, we'll see where it takes, there is nowhere in that scenario where you can fail.
Yeah.
Because it's a hobby, it's a fun project, you'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then you will just laugh at mishaps if you are coming from that place.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't figure out how to make this thing that I wanted. Whatever, I try something new. It's almost like a child's mentality. They don't have goals. They fail all the time, but they don't have goals and put themselves down.
Yeah,
that you learn in school.
Yeah. You never heard a child that say, my goal is to learn how to walk.
Well,
exactly. They never have that goal.
No.
They just, this feels natural, I'm going to stand up. No, didn't work. I'm going to try again. No, didn't work.
Yeah. I'm not going to reach my deadline. Okay, so I think we made this point clear why this pyramid is important. And so we're going to switch gear a little bit here as well and talk to the one listening who are curious about what you have actually done then to make your Instagram account successful, what strategies you have been using, and so please give me some details of how you are growing your Instagram accounts right now.
Yeah, so first step, once again, worth repeating, I'm having a lot of fun. That's just, I think everyone got that. But from a technical perspective, what I'm doing is I've started with something that I learned about called the unicorn strategy. And I learned this from a guy named Nathan, who runs an Instagram account called Founder, and we'll link to that in the description. And basically what they're doing is that they're looking at other similar accounts, and they're looking for the posts that have gotten the most likes. So posts that have spiked and gotten a lot more likes than other posts posted that month, for example. And these posts are then already proven that people like them. If there's a quote and a lot of people have liked that quote, it's proven that this is a good quote because more people like that than all the other things. So what I've done then is that I've taken that same quote and I've either just changed the design very little on it, or I've just taken the same post and written my own caption and my own understanding from that quote. So this takes half the effort away of creating the design and all these things. And I already know that this is a post that people will appreciate because, well, it's proven in a similar account. So then I do the same thing. And this saves me probably 90% of the time it would take to come up with something really good to do. And I can focus on the caption and the parts I really enjoy. So this is a strategy I apply to 2/3 of the content that I'm producing, more or less. I'm just looking for other things that I really enjoy, and I do a very similar version of it. It's basically like, let's say I was a DJ. I could either try to come up with my very own songs from scratch, but I wouldn't be able to produce that much music then. Or I could take existing songs and I could make my own remix of them. It's still mine, but it's not just mine. But I'm still adding some value with it.
You're definitely adding value. So my music genre, difficult word, that I like the most is techno and various forms of electronic music. And I only listen to DJs that take 10 different songs and put them together to a 1-hour mix. So they are adding a lot of value to me because that's the only thing I'm listening to.
Yeah, and that's so much easier than doing 10 songs yourself.
Yeah.
And you can
and a lot of people can do it. I have a friend, Denise, she started DJing 1 year ago and she's doing those mixes and they sound pretty good.
Yeah. Basically, you're doing the same thing then. You're looking for the 10 favorite things that you enjoy and you put them together in your way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that way you can actually create 10 of the best songs in the world because someone else have done the best songs in the world.
Yeah.
But you would not be able to do that yourself. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here. So I'm focusing on the unicorn strategy. And second part of this is that I'm making it very simple. It's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm taking that content, I'm just writing a description, and then I'm posting it. I'm not trying to overdo this. I'm not creating something extreme. I'm not spending hours and hours and hours with designing something. I would if I really enjoyed that process, but I don't. And this, by lowering my own bar, focusing on having fun with it, I can put out a lot of content. I'm putting out 6 things per day or something like that on Instagram, which is a big part of the growth strategy. Because if you put out 1 thing per week, you're barely going to be visible compared to someone putting out 6 things per day, which is 42 things per week. So that's been a big part of the success, is creating a lot of material and then finding a process I enjoy that still add values, that I still learn from, and that gets all of this happening.
And is this something that everyone can do, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at accounts that I enjoy and looking for their best posts and posts that represent me. Like, okay, because if there's going to be a post that says a lot of things, even it's got a lot of likes, but I don't resonate with what it says. For example, there is a lot of content on Instagram saying, you should wake up at 5, sleep is for losers, go hard work, that's how you succeed. And I think that's really, really crappy advice. So even when I see a post like that got a spike in likes, I'm not going to use it because it's not something I stand for. But whenever I find things that I resonate with and I believe in, and it's gotten this kind of likes, I'll use it one way or another.
So I get the unicorn strategy. So what about hashtags and stuff? How much strategy around it is involved?
Yeah, so I'm using a lot of hashtags. I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes, but I think it's it's a way to simply get hashtags out there. So for you who don't know, hashtags is a way to sort things on social media. So anyone looking for hashtag Spain can find a lot of pictures taken in Spain, for example. And I'm doing the same thing for a lot of entrepreneurship and business stuff. And basically I've been searching a lot of different hashtags. I've been looking at the similar accounts, what hashtags they are using. And I've just created a big Excel sheet with hundreds of different hashtags in this niche about entrepreneurship, about business. And I'm taking 20 hashtags or something in each post. I just take a copy from the list and I put them in the post. I don't spend that much time doing the research because I did the research in one day a couple of months ago. And I'm just reusing that very simply and shifting it up between each post. I take another 20, another 20, but it's just a copy and paste move that takes 5 seconds for each post. So I'm not redoing this research all the time. I'm not trying this to make it perfect because once again, I can't do that if I'm producing 42 things a week, but I can do this if it's only 5 seconds for each of them.
I see how important it is to speed up the processes, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
To get a lot of content out there. So
yeah, and hashtags aren't fun either. So it's
so
I need to get up. I want to speed up because it's boring.
So I've seen you do collaborations with other accounts, and you also do Instagram lives and stuff like that. What is the thought process behind that?
So what I didn't understand at all when I started was that it's really, really hard to grow an Instagram account on your own. I thought that if it's just good enough content, people will see it. And I'm pretty sure this goes for YouTube and for any other channel as well. If I just build something good enough, people will see it. But it's simply not true. And it's like, imagine you have the best product in the world. You've invented the iPhone, and this is in the 1980s. No one has ever seen it. You was the first one, but you don't tell anyone about it. You just have a store that no one goes into. People will still not buy your phone. And this is what happens if you start out an social media account. Even if you're producing the best kind of content, people will not immediately see it. You need to put it in front of other people. And a great way of doing that is making collaborations with other big accounts, other YouTubers, other Instagrammers. And a common way to do this is called shout out for shout out. Basically meaning I put out a post about you and you put out a post about me. So I show your content to my followers and you show my content to your followers. And that way we kind of switch followers with each other. This you can either pay for and just buy a shout out, which is something you kind of have to do if your account is really small, but it doesn't cost that much. You can buy shout outs for $10 and up to infinity, obviously, because that way you can get in front of more people, but you don't really have anything to trade with. So if I have 5 followers or 100 followers, it's not really worth for you to put your content on my page. So then it's better to pay with money. And that's how I've done this. I've started growing it with buying those kinds of ads out there. So I'm creating good content and a lot of it, but I'm paying to get people to see it, or I'm collaborating to get people to see it. And you have to, I would say, because you're not going to get, even if you got the best content on Instagram, people are not going to see it unless you, at least in the beginning, get the ball rolling.
And what can you do if you are really passionate about this, but maybe you're a young entrepreneur and you don't have money to spend on shoutouts?
Then I would look for ways to add value to people with these accounts. Maybe offering to say to someone, okay, I'm going to be super active in your comments and comment on each post that you're posting for a month if you do one shout out for me. I'm going to share all your materials if you do one shout out for me. I'm going to create designs for you if you do one shout out for me. So that way you're really giving value and focusing on what can I do for them, and hopefully they will return the favor. And that's how you get to start them. You need to get collaborations into your way of working if you want to get it to scale. You're never going to be able to build it without that, because the algorithms doesn't favor small accounts.
Mm. Is there something else someone needs to know about the Instagram strategy?
This covers most of it. I would say Start with having fun, focus on having fun, and then find collaborations. And those two alone will get you places.
Got it. All right. I feel like it starts to become time to wrap this up. Do you have something more you want to add on this?
No, let's wrap it up. Let's hear your summary. What wise things have I said?
You have said. I have realized that the what I take with me at least is that this path looks more than a pyramid than a path to me, because you need the bottom foundations for the whole structure to be stable. And I imagine my life now as a big desert with lots of pyramids in it. And the more areas of the desert that is my life that becomes a pyramid, maybe step 2 or 3, maybe even 4 if I'm lucky, I think the more I'm gonna enjoy my life and feel that it is meaningful. So I'm gonna think of this metaphor in relationships, day-to-day activities, work, health.
I love the pyramid. It makes a lot of sense.
And of course, social media. Yeah.
Yeah. Pyramid of joy. Pyramid of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. So maybe someone really enjoyed this episode, Erik. Maybe they even listened this far. What can they do if they want to support our passion to reach entrepreneurs out there who wants to make the world a better place?
Very good question, Emil. It gets me the opportunity to talk about what you can do to help us out. Yeah, so we are very passionate about this podcast. We're focused on having fun, and we hope that, and we actually learn a lot from it, and we hope that it brings a lot of value. And now we're looking to scale this. I'd say that we're trying to make the 4th part of the pyramid work. And if you want to help us out, then the best thing you can do is to go to your podcast app and click subscribe on this podcast. Because, well, then you'll get all our episodes in your app. It's really nice, hopefully. And what's more interesting is that all the top lists, or at least a lot of the top lists that are about podcasts, are not necessarily about who the most people listen to, but who are the most percentage subscribing to. So you greatly increase our chances of getting into different top lists if you are one of our subscribers. So please do that.
And that's the final social media hack we got for you today. Erik, I had fun. I learned a lot. I think this gave value. Let's scale to infinity.
Let's scale to infinity. Thank you, my friend.
Ciao.
Ciao. We usually stop the recording here, right? Yeah, we're not gonna do feedback and stuff anyway.